Talk about tremendous victories for Donald Trump and for all of us. I got asked the other day, Tim, do you still stand by your statement that Trump would be a marginally good president, or do you think he's going to be even better? And I stand corrected, my friends. Donald Trump is a marginally good president. I call him the greatest president of my life, however, because the bar is so low, you might trip on it. Actually, you probably can't. It's underground. In that regard, though, Trump did great things. He did. In his first term, no new wars was tremendous. And I say it's marginally good because I'm not trying to undermine the successes that he had. I'm pointing out that from a perspective of what we expect of a president, Trump was good. You know what I mean? He hired people like Bolton. He's tried to justify it. Boy, has he come after a lot of these guys. He had some bad hiring choices. He had Fauci on, but it was good. It was good. And so I said, we're going to get the same thing. Okay. And then I was asked the other night, do I stand by that? I don't. In these past several days, Donald Trump has dropped the hammer instantly. And to be fair, with the choice of Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, I mean, it's looking pretty dang good. Already we're seeing ICE raids in Boston, and I believe it's a sanctuary city, and that's why it's so contentious. And they're rounding up criminals. These are not innocent people. These are people who are criminals. Well, my friends, as we can expect great things from our new president. Is he new because we had him before? I don't know. James Okeefe drops his latest report, a White House advisor revealing the deep state is real. White House advisor reveals how bureaucracy protects its own interests, predicts bureaucracy will crush RFK Jr. as HHS secretary. If I was given an order, I would either block it or resign. This is revealing from Okeefe Media Group. This guy says RFK Jr. is a very bad pick for HHS. It's probably a good chance that the bureaucracy just crushes him. When asked, can you give me an example of how you think they'll do that? He talks about making fake commissions to manipulate people like RFK Jr. so they can't do their jobs. Byron Cohen, White House advisor, Office of Pandemic Preparedness and Response Policy. Let's play a little bit of what this deep state actor has to say. And again, shout out to James Okeefe and Okeefe Media Group.
People joke about the deep state, but to some degree it's real because they have ways that they can slow things down or block you without you realizing it.
Meet Byron Cohen, an advisor at the White House.
RFK Jr. is a very bad pick for HHS. There's a good chance that the bureaucracy just crushes him.
Is there anything that you're going to do?
I would consider slowing things down. I can't really think of anyone who I would less rather have be president than Donald Trump.
Okay, I got to pause. For those that are just listening, James Okeefe is standing next to the man. You love how these people don't pay attention. James Okeefe is standing right there. He's right there. I love when James personally does some of these. He had one, I think it was last year. If you're not familiar with James Okeefe, you must be living under a rock. Probably one of the best journalists of our generation. Shout out to James Okeefe doing the undercover reporting, the sting operations. And you got to know who he is at this point. The joke often is that these people go on dates. That's like the principal strategy of Okeefe. Not the only one, but they have women and men go on dating apps and try and get dates with people who work in these administrations and then record their meetings. And you have to wonder why it is there are so many men who are sitting there with a beautiful woman and the woman says, so you work for the government, huh? Can you tell me about any of the corrupt actions you and your cohorts take? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, we violate the will of the people and break the law all the time. Here's exactly how we do it. I brought a PowerPoint for you. And you're like, I don't get it. Do they think this is impressive to women to be like, look at the illegal thing I'm doing? I guess. These guys are told that women like bad boys. But to be fair, you also have gay encounters as well, where, there's one where I feel really bad because James went on a date with a guy who thought that he was actually into him, but no. All right, let's play the clip.
Give me an example of how you think they'll do it when RFK gets in.
One thing you might be able to do to sort of make him think something is happening when it's not.
The White House advisor explains how the administrative state creates deceptive commissions to hinder executive decisions.
One of the ways you can slow things down in a bureaucracy is you can commit to studying something. Put together a commission. Mr. Secretary, we're going to put together a commission to study the safety of fluoride in water. Mr. Secretary, we're going to put together a commission to study vaccine safety. And we'll let you know when the report comes out. And he'll be like, yes, great. And then years will pass and nothing has happened.
Wow.
A sophisticated bureaucrat can do a lot to run around an unsophisticated political appointee.
Byron says that when it comes to certain policy positions, subverting the will of the people is justified.
Would it be subverting the will of the people to crush RFK or block him or whatever?
For the most part, the American people don't actually agree with RFK's views on things like vaccines. So, I mean, in a literal sense, if you were like blocking something he was trying to do to undermine vaccines, you are probably acting in a way that is consistent with what the majority wants.
In other words, democracy being subverted. OMG investigates dating the deep state. Well, there it is, my friends. And I hate to break it to you. Now, I definitely recommend checking out the full 15-minute video. I'll play just like a little bit of the intro here.
Byron Cohen, who serves as an advisor for interagency research and development oversight in the White House Office of Pandemic, Preparedness and Response Policy, or OPPR. Byron's LinkedIn confirms his credentials, both at the White House currently and at Harvard University, where he completed the requirements for his PhD in population health sciences, and where he also taught courses in epidemiological methods. On the eve of this video being released, Byron's LinkedIn page was taken down.
Wow.
Byron Cohen is not a political appointee. In other words, he was not appointed by any particular president. He is what's considered a detailee and holds a fellowship at the White House through something called the Horizon Institute for Public Service that placed him in the White House. According to multiple government websites, a detailee is an employee of a United States executive branch government agency temporarily assigned to another position, generally in another U.S. government agency or international organization. The employee's original agency will usually continue to pay the person's salary. White House officials tell us that these fellows have real political power, and Byron tells us that he intends to exercise it.
What's it like working at the White House? It's pretty cool.
I like it. I mean, I have a good team. I can't really think of anyone who I would less rather have be president than Donald Trump.
Now, I know. Many of you are saying, but Tim, the deep state is not real. That's a far-right conspiracy theory. No, that's made up. We have this story from the New York Times, March 19th, 2024, titled, "It Turns Out the Deep State is Actually Kind of Awesome." You see, the deep state is just a term used to describe bureaucratic individuals. They are appointed or hired, and their tenure within the government extends beyond an administration. We don't elect them. They never get fired, and they can be in for decades. These people entrench themselves and don't want to lose their jobs and absolutely wield political power. Now, when the conversations of the deep state first began to emerge, the corporate press played this game where they were like, there is no deep state. You're making that up. Well, they were lying intentionally, because the truth is the bureaucrats do wield massive power, as you just heard. They will wield that power to obstruct RFK Jr. And how? Fake commissions. Well, the good thing is, with the work of James Okeefe, we can expose these tactics. And now RFK Jr. should be apprised to these subversion attempts to stop his agenda, our agenda, Donald Trump's agenda. These people believe they're smarter than you, and you do not have the right to see the country operate as you have voted. But let me explain this to these psychopathic narcissists. You're not right about everything. Nobody is. You may be right about some things, but you see what we end up with. These people, this is the root of communism in government. I'm not saying these people. What I'm saying is, in communist styles of government, these people believe I am smart and I can run everything. And then it turns out, unfortunately, they can't. So you take a look at the Soviet Union, and you have this small committee, and they say, we're going to run this massive 100+ million person union because we're smart enough to do it. And surprise, surprise, they weren't. Disaster after disaster, economic crisis, shortages. No single group or single individual can run this machine. So the reality is The best thing we can do is decentralize. Now, of course, there are certainly people who are technocrats and think we should implement an AI to run everything for us, but the AI does not understand human intention the same way we do, and garbage in, garbage out, as they say when it comes to these training programs. These individuals that we're learning of from James Okeefe, this individual in particular, he thinks he's smarter than you. He outright said, majority of Americans may actually agree with RFK, but we're going to block him because we're smarter than everybody else. But what happens when you're not and you make a mistake? And you end up creating shortages. What happens when you tell everybody to go get rid of the sparrows? You know, these sparrows, they're eating the seed. So you got to kill all the sparrows. And then the locusts and the grubs come and wipe out your crops. What happens when you say, we need to make steel like the West does? So everybody take all of the metal you have and melt it down. And then you have no tools and you get what's called brittle pig iron. Yes, the stories persist. Communist China, boy, did they murder a lot of people. Let's not forget the Holodomor in early Soviet history, where the Russians were basically like, we don't got enough food, so let's take it from Ukraine and let them starve to death. These people do not know how to operate these large machines. And that's why we favor, and to a certain degree, a free market. Not absolutely. I know there's a lot of libertarians are going to be like, the free of the market, the free of the people. And those are the people that we talk about the other day on the Timcast members only show with Angela McArdle, who says, graph go up. I have... I like libertarians on a lot of things, but man, there's many libertarians that argue so long as graph go up, everything's good. And it's like the economic numbers do not determine whether or not your society will succeed. Case in point with these deep state individuals. And here we are now, as they whinge and moan and cry. Fox News, Trump misrepresented Hunter Biden laptop letter. John Brennan complains after losing security clearance. Oh, man. You know, we learn more and more about the deep state through stories like this, but largely the work of people like James Okeefe and people like John Brennan and the other 50 intelligence officials who signed a letter that claimed Hunter Biden's laptop had the earmarks of a Russian operation. They are evil. This man, he's an evil man. He thinks he's better than you. He's smarter than you. Your will be damned, he say. So when the Hunter Biden laptop comes out and it shocks the moral conscience of America that a president's son could be behaving this way, that emails prove there was a backroom deal, and then Joe Biden pardons his whole family. It all lines up, doesn't it? This man wanted to protect the corrupt and the evil. That is the deep state. Now, look, that's why I said Trump would be a marginally good president, because he hired a lot of these guys, and now he's firing them. And so, you know, in hindsight, I'm actually pretty glad that Trump lost in 2020 because he needed that experience to see just how evil these people would be so that when he came in for his second term, as he's doing now, he would bring to boot. And that's what we're getting. I wonder if this guy's already gotten fired. There's a tendency when James Okeefe does an investigation that they fire the individuals who are going out in public and spilling the beans. I find it absolutely fascinating that these individuals continue to do such things. But we'll see, my friends. There's still 1,400 or so days, I think, is the number. Donald Trump has a lot to do. And though these first few days have been good, we don't know whether or not the deep state will strike back. And I believe they will. I believe the strategy of the deep state right now is to wait 4 years. Let me show you this tweet from End Wokeness. The ATF was just caught rebranding their chief diversity officer to senior executive. You see what they do? They are trying to hide their Marxist ideologues who have infiltrated government, and it's going to be a lot of work to purge these individuals. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal. So what do? Stay vigilant and keep working, because we've got a long road ahead of us. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Become a member over at timcast.com. Check out, I really do recommend this behind the scenes, we call them the green room. It's when we're preparing the show. We have Angela McArdle. She met with Donald Trump and said, if you free Ross Ulbricht, the libertarians are going to vote for you. This story is amazing. Trump, you got to hear her tell the story about, you know, who Trump is and how he reacted and what his goals were. This is, we like this guy, Donald Trump. He was like, when asked about the, this is what I haven't fact checked this one myself, but when asked about the pardon, he says, I don't really know about the guy or care, but I promised I'd do it, so I did. And I'm like, promises made, promises kept. Bravo, good sir. Timcast.com, become a member. Thanks for hanging out. We got more segments coming up, and we will see you all soon.